So yeah, that able to change on now as you can see I've got to do remove these M10 so anyway, let's get it assembled. How are we all today, you handsome people? Today we've got a 2016 Mitsubishi L200 Barbarian, which is in 4. We're going to be having a look at the brakes. I think it runs brake pads, and we're going to be checking the rear shoes as well. But it is nice and warm, and as you can see, we've got the pins out. Right, let's crack on. Let's get this vehicle in the air. Now, once I've got that vehicle up to working height, what we're going to be doing is going around all the 4 corners of the vehicle and just making sure that none of these brakes are binding. Give it a walk around. Well, that one's definitely not. Driver's side front, and that one's perfectly fine. Right, let's get these wheels off. Now we've got all them wheels off, let's have a little look at them pads. This is where I'm going to have to stop for a second, because being a content creator, I need the best light possible. Now I have got these Boxo torches. Now they are insane, but when you're doing quick jobs like this, they're not really good in your pocket. So I've got this Boxo. What part number is it? It's an LED 014, and I'm going to get it opened. I'm going to show you. Now I've got this little torch out, which is absolutely insane. It can just slide in your pocket. It's brilliant. The reason why I've got this little light is because, like I said, I've got other Boxo stuff, and I have got the, let me show you, the little wireless charging dock for. And it's magnetic wireless. Clip it on and it starts charging. Now I have tried many lights over the years. Now if you're just on the job and you need a light for any light, but I'm finding that these Boxo lights, they're giving me a good colour, which has been enabled for you viewers out there to be able to see what I'm doing. So yeah, I think that is a great little torch. Now no doubt you're going to see a lot more of this in my videos. Now the passenger side brake pads, they're not that bad, but the driver's side, when we come around to them, they are fairly low, especially that inside one. Now with a little bit of experience, what happens is sometimes the inside pad will wear quicker than the other when these sliders seize up. We're going to have to strip all the brakes down anyway and give them all a check. Now what I'm going to say and what I'm going to do is probably going to cause a little bit of a debate, but I don't care. I've been doing this when I've been changing brake pads for many years. It's not a new thing, it's not a trend, anything like that. It's just something that I do. Now the brake fluid in these calipers, they get hot and they get cold and they can absorb water. Now what I like to do is clamp hose, crack a nipple off and push that dirty fluid through. Now I know you're going to say, oh yeah, but brake fluid change does that on the service. How often do people get their brake fluid changed? They don't. Anyway, let's crack on. And another massive reason why I like to do it this way is when you're pushing them pots back, you're not forcing any seals back in the master cylinder and damaging anything. Now we've got it clamped off, we've got a brake fluid container. We're just going to crack that nipple open. Can you see that dirty fluid coming through? Now straight away, remember me saying on the other side about a slider being seized? Push that back now. Now if you do it correctly, look at that dirty fluid. When that piston stops, tighten that nipple back up and you shouldn't have to bleed them brakes. Now with that pot pushed back, you should be able to grab that caliper and slide it back in two. And it's not. We've got a top slider seized there, so we're going to have to get some 14s now and get this caliper off. Now a little bit of a tip for you when removing these seized sliders, remove the bottom pin, leave the top one tight or the other way around, whichever's seized, and try and move the caliper, get a little bar, try and move the caliper with it tight, because that might help you free it off. Give it a good wiggle and rooney back and two, and that might, no, is it coming? No, I'm going to have to take it off, but it's worth a try. It's going to help you regardless unfree that top slider. Is it coming? Well, it's moving a little bit better anyway. It's going to take a little bit in the vise. We might have to put a little bit of heat on it, and we're going to get it out. Now once that caliper is off and hung out the way, sometimes these pads do get seized in, but this time they're nice and free. There we go, that is the pads out. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but this inside pad has worn on a little bit of a wedge, and that is because that top slider, see, because it's not sliding back and two, the brake pad's doing that rather than that. Now before we take this caliper carrier off and put it in the vise and try and free it off, we're going to give it a bit of a chance on the vehicle. We're going to get some Launch Power Lube Plus. We're just going to pull that rubber back. I'm going to give it a little bit of a squirt-a-rooning. I'm going to get a battery ratchet. We're going to try working this slider back and two. There we go, that has come out. Now please, please, please do not think that they're all going to come out that easy. Some of them you have to get a lot of heat on it. Now before, what I've had to do is drill the carrier slider itself, the caliper carrier itself, and punch it through. Sometimes you have to do these things. But right, let's get this caliper carrier off now with 217s, and we can give it a good cleaner-rooney. Now let's move around to the driver's side. Now I have already pushed them pots back. I thought this side would have been the problem, but the caliper itself is moving nice and free. Let's get it off. Now that caliper is out of the way, the pads in the side, they're not seized, but they're not moving freely. We're going to have to give everything a clean anyway. Strange why that inside one's worn on a bit of a wedge. Perhaps it was just grabbing on the slider. Who knows? Right, let's get this caliper carrier off. Now with that caliper carrier in the vise, we can get your drill with a wire brush. Give it a good clean. Now it might look clean, but actually in there, it is kind of rough and it's not flat. So get yourself a square file, only do this gently, and knock all that little bits of metal off. All the crap can stick to that carrier. So your wire brush can't get off. Now I don't know whether you can see, now that carrier's been cleaned, it is nice and flat and nice and shiny. Now let's concentrate on these sliders themselves. What we're going to do, because this side is nice and free, we're just going to get a rag, give it a good wipe, get all that old grease off. We're going to dip it in some red rubber grease. You don't need a lot of it, just a little bit on the tip, and slide that in. That now is nice and free. We can do the same to the other side. Now this is the size that was seized off the passenger side. We've got the pins out. Eventually, we're going to take the rubber boots off, and we're going to go over to the bench grinder and put them on the wire wheel. And what we're going to do is give them a damn good clean and get them nice and shiny. Now these sliders are nice and shiny, they should go in there, not a problem. Tiny little bit of red rubber grease, it's probably too much. I'll make sure they slide in nice and free, which you do. Let's get these boots back on. And get these carriers back on the car. Now I have cleaned both sides of them, and they are perfect. Now while I'm waiting for the front pads to turn up, we're going to move around to the back. We're going to remove the drums and inspect the shoes and wheel cylinders. But before we do, get yourself a little big hammer and give them drums a right good clack, and they should spring off. Providing you have got no big lip. Good old brake test. You don't want to be breathing that in. Ugh. Now with them back drums off, get yourself a lovely little receptacle, get yourself some brake and clutch cleaner, and give everything a good cleaner-oonie. Get yourself a little pry bar and give them shoes a movement side to side, just to make sure that them wheel cylinders aren't seized, which they're not. They're quite good. What we're going to do now is pull the rubbers back, pull them right off. We're just going to have a look, see if there's any fluid in there. If there's any fluid in there, these wheel cylinders will need replacing. But everything seems to be hunky-dory. Now, one good thing I do like about 4x4s, a lot of them, especially the Jap stuff, you don't need to adjust the shoes before you put the drums on. We can go ahead and get the drums back on and adjust it from the back plate, because there's a little rubber bung by there that you come through and you can adjust the adjuster. So let's get these drums back on. Beautiful. Once we put that wheel back on and the drum, remove this little rubber bung from by here, get yourself a little flat-headed screwdriver, and you can do it all by feel. You don't even need to look at it. As you're adjusting it, adjust it with one hand and move the wheel with the other, and you'll be able to just feel it grabbing. And that is fully adjusted up. Once I've finished with the passenger side wheel, you can move across to the driver's side and repeat all that process again. It doesn't take too long, probably about 10-15 minutes each side. Eventually, the brand new pads have turned up, which are Blueprint. They are really good, these, to be honest, these Blueprint pads. Where's it gone? I don't know where it's gone. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Have I left it on the other side? Possibly. Right, yeah, I have. Now, before we fit them, we're going to put a little bit of Bosch Superfit just on the contact points of the pads, and they should slide in beautifully. To the other side. A little bit like that. And then pads now are both in and nice and free. Now once you've fitted them pads in, there is little springs that you need to put in the pads. They go top and bottom, like so. This is a bit of a pain to get these on now because, oh, hang on, just like that. They spring off. Where's it gone? It is kind of hard doing it. It's almost like you need another pair of hands. There we go. The caliper is back on. We can put the bolts in and get them torqued up to spec. Now that is the front axle pads put in, both sides. Don't forget to put your little dust cap back on your bleed nipple. All we've got to do then is put them wheels back on. And there we have it, them wheels now are back on the vehicle. It's on the floor, all wheels are torqued up. Now I've gone ahead, I've jumped in the vehicle and pumped the pedal so that it goes nice and hard. And we've also topped that brake fluid up as well, which is perfect. Now I've finished with everything outside the vehicle. We've come in, got the engine running, air conditioning is nice and cool. We've got a nice brake pedal, no warning lights, and the handbrake lever now is 4 or 5 clicks, and there's a good feel on that handbrake. Right, let's take it down the road for a little bit of a test drive. What a glorious day to be taking a car for a bit of a test drive. Air conditioning's on, it's nice and chilly in here. Probably the best part of taking a car for a test drive when you're a mechanic. I've got no squeaks, no rattles, no vibrations, apart from we're going over a bumpy road. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm just going to pull up now in a second to make sure that the vehicle's not pulling left or right in a nice straight line. Is it nice and straight? That is absolutely perfect. Now what I'm going to advise this customer to do over the next sort of 50-60 miles is try and avoid heavy braking to allow them brake pads to bed in. And there we have it. After a successful test drive, I'm more than happy to give this vehicle now the customer back. And it is that time of week again when I tell you all to have an absolutely amazing weekend. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed the video. Let's get it sent.